What's up, witches and Wheel of Time fans? I've been sitting around watching and re-watching the new season 3 trailer that just dropped. Even though all the other big name Wheel of Time YouTube channels are already doing their breakdown videos, I still want to do one where I react and break down the trailer just because I was right about stuff. And I want to document it for my own posterity and just share my thoughts, ideas, and predictions for you, namely things that I predicted or thought about in my The Shadow Rising breakdown video, where I went over the book The Shadow Rising that this season is largely pulling from, and predicted what we were going to drop and what was going to be changed and what we were going to see. So yeah, let's watch the trailer together and I will break it down for you guys and let you know what I see, especially that I think is kind of leaning into some of my predictions. Now, the first shot we have is of a group of people walking in to this very large set dominated by these three, I'm presuming, Aes Sedai statues. That immediately makes me think of the tower. And then I see some people walking in who are dressed in predominantly like this very bright saffron yellow color, and someone leading them in black. And then there are a lot of shadowy groups of people standing around. But yes, my first thought is that this is the tower. I see women dressed in different colors, and that makes me think that this is somewhere in the tower. And then we see Moiraine in the rainy streets of what looks to me like Tar Valon. Now, she is supposed to be exiled, but her oath did specifically say that Siuan Sanche herself, not the Amyrlin, but Siuan Sanche, can recall her at any time. So presumably she might be called back to testify, if that's the right word, testify or be held accountable for what she did last season, with not only helping Rand escape Rhuidean and the Amyrlin, but also under the aid of a Forsaken. Like, we saw Siuan get her ass handed to her last season. Now, this next shot is my vote for most intriguing shot of the trailer, because we see Rand here. My mind is immediately going off with alarm bells ringing. Dark Rand, evil Rand, Rand's evil doppelganger. I don't know why, but something about the black, like very military jacket that he's wearing and the long, darker, like very coiffed, swept back hair that he has, and just a very serious and almost like lifeless, grim look on his face is just reading like this is a turning of the wheel, because I think a lot of these shots are not only shots from things that we're going to see play out in season 3, but specifically shots that Moiraine is going to glimpse when she undergoes her trial in Rhuidean, because this trailer specifically, she is telling about the different things that she saw in her Doctor Strange Avengers Endgame moment, because this is the Endgame. Tarmon Gaidan is Armageddon, the last battle. So this is the Endgame. We're in the Endgame now. And so she got some glimpses of all these different paths that this turning of the wheel could take, and all these different roads that everyone could go down. And I think one of them is what we're seeing here, which is going to be Rand turned to the shadow, because that is one of their goals still, is to turn Rand to the Dark One's side if they can. But this next shot I also find very intriguing, because I think what we're seeing here with Liandrin in this very specific, very noticeable red outfit. This is not her being inconspicuous here. This is very much, and yet I think this is her with the Black Aja in hiding in Tanchico, because as I said in my prediction video going over The Shadow Rising, we do know that one of the major settings in the books and for this season that they've hinted at is Tanchico. And from what I know of the cultural garb of Tanchico and the things that people customarily wear in that land. Everyone is known for wearing veils, and very like lacy veils and garb like that. So I definitely think we are seeing a glimpse of Liandrin in hiding with the Black Aja in Tanchico. And this next shot is one I'm very curious to see what it's going to be, if it's going to be a real scenario or just a like glimpse of a turning of the wheel, where we see Elaine in her novice outfit, presumably in some location in Tar Valon, judging by the background. But she's putting on a crown, being coronated, but she's doing it herself. This is not an elaborate public ceremony. So if this is not just a glimpse of a possible turning of the wheel that we're seeing and just like a dream scenario, I think this is, which now that I'm saying that, this could definitely possibly be them playing around in Teleron Riyadh, because I know Teleron Riyadh and exploring the world of dreams and how it works is something that is going to be very heavily featured in the next book, The Shadow Rising, with Egwene and the girls, Elaine and Nynaeve, also learning how to operate in that world. So maybe we're seeing Elaine kind of playing around with dream scenarios in Teleron Riyadh here, but otherwise I think this is definitely a hint that we will be cutting the Andor succession plot entirely, which I'm not mad at, because it is one of the longest, most drawn out, and while interesting, pretty arbitrary for the overall plot in terms of the greater scheme, last battle of it all. We don't really need several books or seasons worth of plot dragging out. Is Elaine or isn't she going to inherit the throne of Andor? She's the daughter heir, okay? We don't need to introduce all of this plethora of unnecessary side characters and draw that out. So if they cut that, I won't be mad. But now that I'm talking about it and watching it, that could be something we're seeing as a dream world scenario, because you can kind of imagine whatever you want and make it reality when you're playing around in the world of dreams. Now this next shot here is very interesting. There's a lot of speculation already on who we're seeing here on the Amerlin seat, because from far away it could be Swan Sanche, but they're wearing red, so it could also be hinting at Elida and the Red Aja taking over during the Tower coup. But, and this is my other big prediction, that where I think we're going to deviate a little bit from the novels and deviate from what people are speculating about what's being hinted for the beginning of season 3. Because we're being given these hints from the showrunners that the first 15 minutes of episode 1 is just going to be this brutal action scene of Aes Sedai fighting each other. And everyone's jumping straight to, we're getting the Tower coup. But I don't think so. I think it's a red herring and a misdirect. I think what we're seeing here is possibly a hint at the season ending with the Tower coup and Elida of the Red being put on the Amerlin seat. And so this could possibly be Alviarin next to her, who is a white sister named as her keeper. But it also could be Swan talking with someone in novice white with long hair who looks like Egwene. And my other big dilemma with my Shadow Rising breakdown and season 3 predictions was going to be, were any of the girls going to return to the tower? And if so, who? And I think this could be showing us that Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve are going to, albeit briefly, return to the tower and out Liandrin and others as Black Aja, and that's what we're going to be seeing playing out in the beginning of the episode. Is we're going to see Liandrin finally be outed as a Black sister in front of everyone, and this fight is going to ensue, and we are going to see the scene that we did not get to see in the books, but was hinted at, where they steal a bunch of Terangrial and flee the tower and end up hiding in Tanchico. And Swan Sanche places Egwene and the other girls, or, well, not Egwene, because she goes to the Waste, but Swan Sanche does place her and the other girls on a mission to go catch the Black Aja. Then we see some really awesome scenes here of Moiraine channeling in the Waste, and then we jump to, again, Egwene back at the tower. So, again, confirming that they are going to briefly return to the tower after everything that she's endured and after outing Liandrin and the others as black and facing the Shan-Chan and escaping. We see Egwene back at the tower, now facing her accepted test like Nynaeve did last season. So I'm really glad that we are getting to see this for Egwene, and a lot of people might be wondering, like, why after everything she endured both at the tower and at the hands of the Shan-Chan last season would she return to the tower and don her novice white? But the thing that is most crucial and intrinsic to Egwene's character is her sense of duty and love for the White Tower and what it represents. And she just immediately has this drive to be an Aes Sedai, make the tower a better place, make it stronger, and just has this innate sense of loyalty and duty to this institution. So I think that is going to be her big drive for returning, is not only a sense of wanting to get justice and retaliate against Liandrin and warn everybody that, hey, like, she is confirmed a dark sister, but she also just feels this sense of loyalty to the tower. She wants to go back and make something of herself there, and she also wants to ensure the strength and continuance of this crucial institution that has helped to uphold, secure, and lead the world for the last 3,000 years. So I definitely think that it's going to show a big sense of who she is as a person, that she was willing to go back to the tower and still do all of this stuff. And then we see some more scenes here that I think are hinting at Rand and Moiraine and Egwene's time in the Waste, where again, Moiraine is going to see several turnings of the wheel, almost like a flicker scene that we're finally going to see play out. The Wise One test that she undergoes in Rhuidean is very similar to the Aes Sedai tests, where you see possible past life scenarios or possible present fears play out. And so this one is going to be seeing possible future scenarios. And then we get a quick glimpse of Rand's boots walking through some glass pillars, which I'm very excited to see that whole scene. And then we also get a quick glimpse of Rand and Egwene's in some Aiel garb, so definitely hints that she will be joining him in the Waste to undergo her Dreamwalker training with the Aiel Wise Women. Then we see some more scenes of Moiraine undergoing her flicker, possible weavings of the pattern, and then in a brief shot of something that and I'm sure a lot of other hardcore fans are very excited and hyped for, we see Rand and Lan sword training together, which was one of my other predictions when I did my Shadow Rising breakdown and show prediction video. I did note that even though we didn't get to see Rand and Faldara training with Lan, there was another possible scene in the Shadow Rising which we could still see play out in the show, where while they are in the Waste together, Lan does give Rand some sword training. Bada bing, bada boom, there you have it. We are still going to get this scene in the show. So that makes me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, very happy, and I'm glad to see that prediction of a possible other scene where they could demonstrate that in the books being translated to the show. We see another quick shot of Rand walking through the Waste with someone behind him. It could be an Aielman, it could be an Aiel cloak that would blend in very easily with the desert landscape, and I've heard that we are going to be seeing Rhuarc show up, which makes me happy because he's one of my favorite Aiel characters next to Gaul. Please, for the love of all that is holy, give me Gaul. Another possibility is that this could be Asmodeus, or Jason Natale, the Gleeman, who is accompanying Lanfear in disguise in the Shadow Rising. Then we see what I think is a shot of Rand and Moiraine here meeting and being confronted by the Aiel Wise woman before they ask permission and undergo their Rhuidean test. We see here a shot of the Chora tree of Endosora, the tree of life, which was planted at the heart of Rhuidean, so that's why it's shrouded in fog here. And we don't see a whole full-length shot of the tree, but at the base of it in Rhuidean are all these ter'angreal, which the Aes Sedai of the Age of Legends collected there, including a red door frame ter'angreal, which sadly Matt will not be here to go through. But we do see some type of obelisks here around the base of the tree briefly, which could be other ter'angreal. We see another shot of Rand undergoing his trial, walking through the pillars. We see, I think, what is Avienda here in the waste, and we see Lanfear still stalking Rand because she was, as I said, there in disguise with them while they were traveling through the Aiel Waste, and I think she's going to still be here, maybe in disguise, maybe still just being sneaky and showing up in the world of dreams. And this, what I think we're seeing here, is Moraine's flicker possible weavings of the pattern, where she sees a lot of different scenarios playing out where she's killed by Lanfear. And I think this could also be hinting at them incorporating some elements from the next book in the series, The Fires of Heaven, and also be hinting at the reason why Rosamund Pike moved back to her home in London after filming this season. That's all I'm going to say about that. And again, we're seeing these shots of Aes Sedai fighting in the streets of Tar Valon, however you want to say it. But again, I think this is them throwing us off the trail. This is not the Tower coup. This is what we didn't get to see in the books being played out in the show of Liandrin and the Black Sisters fleeing the tower after being outed. And we see Alana going up against them. But then we see this interesting scene where Rand is channeling in a room at night. And this was something that we did see happen in The Shadow Rising while they were all still at the Stone of Tyr, which is interesting because we're not going to the Stone of Tyr this season. We're skipping that and going straight to the Waste. But we do see a scene in that book where Rand and the others in the Stone of Tyr are attacked by a bubble of evil, which I was doing a lot of speculating in my Shadow Rising breakdown on whether or not we're going to see bubbles of evil playing out in the novels, or if those things are going to be attributed to the Forsaken in the show instead. And I think this could still go either way with this scene, because in the books it was a random bubble of evil which made Rand's reflection come out of all these mirrors and start attacking him. But what it could be happening instead is that it could be Moghedien or one of the Forsaken attacking. So I'll be curious to see how that will play out. Then we see another very interesting, very brief shot here of Rand in Alcair Dal, which is the Golden Bowl, where people of the Aiel, all of the different clans, meet to, hold moots and convene on things and nominate people for clan chief and vote on things. And we see someone, an Aielman, presumably, standing behind him with two dragons tattooed on his arm. And we also know from the poster that was released that Rand is going to come out of Rhuidean with his two dragons, proclaiming him the Kara Karn, he who comes with the dawn, and that this, I believe, standing behind him must then be Couladin, his big rival amongst the Aiel, who does not support this wetlander coming out of nowhere to be their chief of chiefs, and through some interference from the Forsaken is put forward as this false chief of chief and false rival to Rand, and is given these false dragon tattoos. Then some more badass shots of Lanfear. I'm wondering if that means she's going to show up at Alcaerdal and fight them there. They had a big showdown. Rand and Asmodean went back to Rhuidean and had a big showdown there at the end of the books. So I don't know if we'll see that play out, because a lot of Rhuidean kind of got destroyed in that fight, and that would be a lot of CGI animation. So maybe we're just gonna see them all fight at Alcaerdal, which was happening off screen while Rand had his one-on-one with Asmodean. But like I said in my breakdown of Shadow Rising, Rand's one-on-one fight with Asmodean did not stand out as the big fight of that novel compared to Nynaeve's showdown with Moghedien. So maybe it is just going to be a big showdown between Rand and Lanfear and Moiraine and Asmodean in the Golden Bowl, and all the Aiel getting involved instead. Then we see some brief shots of Perrin forging and doing some blacksmithing, which is great to see. Forging his axe, which will become very crucial to his character. And then we see a little shot of Mat here. We don't know where he is or what he's doing. Is this just a real life thing or another glimpse of the pattern? We don't know. And then a very interesting shot here of Moghedien confronting Liandrin. And one of the things that I was wondering in my Shadow Rising breakdown was that the Liandrin and the other Black Aja are all hiding out in Tanchico trying to find an object of power, and Moghedien is also there trying to find it, but they're not working together. She's just kind of watching and observing behind the shadows, as she is wont to do, and maybe pulling some strings behind the scenes, but we don't really get any overt scenes where she is interacting with Liandrin and the Black Aja or giving them orders or anything like that. They're just both there working on their own agendas. But here we do see her confronting Liandrin, so I'm wondering if she is going to be more directly involved in the Black Aja Tanchico plot. Some other very curious shots here, alluding to some things. We see Swan and Moiraine kissing, so I think this is going to be a very brief, either maybe a flashback or just a very brief interlude between the two of them before shit goes down inevitably. Again, I don't think we're getting the coup right at the beginning of the season, but I think we will see it play out before the end. And then we see Perrin making out with someone who I think could only be Fael, who I know has been cast and has to show up. I don't know how or when she's going to show up, but she will, and her and Perrin will become very quickly involved. Then we see Elaine in what I'm guessing is her undercover Tanchico disguise outfit, Egwene in the Waste, Rand in the Waste, some more brief shots of the Aes Sedai fighting in the streets. And I think, again, we're going to see a little change being hinted at, played out here, because we do know that Alanna is fated to lose one of her warders at some point. In the books, it happens off screen while she's in the Two Rivers before Perrin even gets there. It happens in a fight with some Trollocs, I believe. But she does lose one of her warders off screen, and by the time Perrin shows up in the Two Rivers, she is already dealing with the fallout from that. So here I think we are going to see it play out instead during the Black Sisters escaping Tar Valon and her fighting them and trying to catch and apprehend Liandrin before she can get away, and this is going to be the fallout of that. And then we get a very brief glimpse here of what I think is going to be another one of Moiraine's flicker moment, where we see this like nega squadron of the Emond's Field Five all being allied with Lanfear. You see Rand, Egwene, Nynaeve, Lanfear in the middle. I'm assuming Mat, and then maybe Liandrin next to him. But we're seeing an alternate version, an alternate history turning of the pattern where everyone gets turned to the shadow and Moiraine dies that way. Again, with Lanfear being involved. And then we see an exhausted Moiraine after her ordeal being carried out of Rhuidean by Rand. So again, making her more of a prominent figure in the shows, and it's going to be her and Rand undergoing their trials together instead of Mat accompanying him just because he was told to. Very excited to see some of these things play out. My big prediction here is that we're not seeing the tower coup with these scenes. It's just Leandrin and the sisters fleeing. There you have it, guys. I'm so excited for this. Can't wait for season 3 to drop in March, and you know I will be here doing reaction videos for all the episodes like I did for season 2. And I'm also planning on trying to go back and do a season 1 rewatch with you all to just note some different Easter eggs and things that I have put together now that we have all of season 1 and season 2 out, kind of what I've noticed putting some puzzle pieces together and what I have kind of grown to appreciate about season 1 rewatching it. So expect that to be coming. I think probably sometime in January is when I will start that to lead up to the beginning of season 3. So thanks for joining me with this breakdown. I'm super excited to share everything that I noticed with you guys, whether anyone notices my little video or my 2 cents as my little drop in the pond or not. I'm just really excited for this show and what they're going to have for us fans of the books in season 3 based on what we're getting here. So until next time, stay classy.